Senator Schumer has asked for a little bit more time, and I'll yield to Senator Schumer. And if there are no other questions, we'll then conclude this hearing. Of course, all senators have the right to submit questions for the record, and the witness has the right, of course, to look at the record, and should he want to change or amplify any answers, he can. I'll be looking at that transcript. You may want to look at it very, very carefully.
I will look at it very carefully, Mr. Chairman.
I would recommend you look at it extremely carefully. Senator Schumer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your waiting for the votes. I have just a few quick questions that I hope you'll be able to answer quickly and concisely. First, Mr. Attorney General, at the time you went to Mr. Ashcroft's hospital bed, did you know that power had been transferred to Jim Comey?
I think that there were newspaper accounts, and the fact that Mr. Comey was the acting attorney general is probably something that I knew of.
Probably you knew of it?
Well, again, sitting here today, I can't tell you, yes, absolutely, I knew. But let me make an important point here. The fact that transfer let's assume that transfer had occurred. There's no governing legal principle that says that Mr. Ashcroft, if he decided he felt better, could decide, I'm feeling better, and I can make this decision, and I'm going to make this decision.
Thank
but
you.
to answer your question,
you believe you knew?
Yes.
Is that a fair characterization?
I would say that let's just assume that I knew, but again, I'm not sure that's the main point.
And at the time you went to Mr. Ashcroft's hospital bed, you touched on this. What was your understanding of Mr. Ashcroft's authority?
My understanding, sitting here today, my understanding is that the main focus is that Mr. Comey would be making the decision with respect to this matter.
All right. When you went to the hospital room, what was your understanding of Mr. Ashcroft's condition?
I don't know if I can recall exactly my understanding. I suspect it was that, of course, he was sick, had surgery. I may have understood that he was in intensive care. I may have, from newspaper accounts, may have understood, in fact, that he had problems with his pancreas or gallstones or something.
Did you know that all visitors had been barred by his wife because of how ill he was?
I don't know if I knew that. Subsequently, I've certainly been made aware of the fact that she was being very, very careful in terms of who could visit with him and who could speak with him.
The facts have come out that all visitors were barred by her. Okay. Next, do you have documents in your possession reflecting the transfer of power or authority from Ashcroft to Comey?
I do have them now, yes.
You didn't have them then?
I don't recall personally having them. There is some question, as I understand it, about whether they came to the White House and who at the White House had them. But again, I'll just...
Wouldn't the council have gotten such documents?
I would think so, yes.
So you probably had them? Would that be fair?
I would say that that they may have come in. I have no recollection of that, Senator.
Could you go through your records and produce for this committee any documents in your possession at that time or in your offices, the Office of Counsel's possession at that time?
I'd be happy to take that back and see if that can be done.
Why couldn't it be done?
Well, I don't know, Senator. If we can do it, we'll produce it.
Okay. Could you give them to our committee by Friday?
We'll certainly do our best.
Thank you. Did you discuss classified information in front of Mrs. Ashcroft, who did not have a security clearance?
It's my recollection that the answer to that question is no. General Ashcroft did virtually all of the talking, and he did all the talking with respect to the legal issues. I can't sit in here today. I don't believe that he disclosed classified information in the hospital room.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Who sent you to the hospital?
Senator, what I can say is we'd had a very important meeting at the White House over one of the most...
I didn't ask that. I didn't ask them. You discussed the meeting.
I'm answering your question, Senator, if I could.
Did anyone tell you to go?
It was one of the most important programs for the United States. It was important, had been authorized by the President. I'll just say that the Chief of Staff of the President of the United States and the Counsel of the President of the United States went to the hospital on behalf of the President of the United States.
Did the President ask you to go?
We were there on behalf of the President of the United States.
I didn't ask you that. Did the President ask you to go?
Senator, we're there on behalf of the President of the United States.
Why can't you answer that question?
That's the answer that I can give you, Senator.
Well, can you explain to me why you can't answer it directly?
Senator, again, we were there on an important program for this president on behalf of the President of the United States.
Did you talk to the President about it beforehand?
Senator, obviously there were a lot of discussions that happened during that period of time. This involved one of the President's
I understand.
premier
But,
programs.
sir, you're before this committee. You are before this committee. You're supposed to answer questions. You've not claimed any privilege. I don't think there is any here. And I asked you a question, and you refused to answer it.
Senator,
Why?
I'll go back. If I can answer the question,
No, you did
I will
that.
answer the question.
I know, but could you tell me why you can't answer this question?
Senator, because again, this relates to activities that existed when I was in the White House, and because of that, with respect to your specific questions, I will go back and see whether or not I can answer the question.
Did the Vice President send you?
And Senator, we were there on behalf of the President.
Did you talk to the Vice President about it?
We were there on behalf of the President.
Will not answer
Senator.
that question as well. Is that correct?
We were there on behalf of the, I'd be happy to take back your question. If we can respond to it, we will.
Okay. Now, you kept referring to this meeting of the Gang of Eight. Did any member of the Gang of Eight direct you to go to Ashcroft's hospital bed?
Oh, no. In fact,
Was there
I'm
any
not
discussion?
sure. No, I'm not sure that they knew that we went.
So they had no knowledge you were doing that?
Put it
Best
this way,
you know.
I did not tell them
Okay.
that we were going to do
Did
that.
every member of the Gang of Eight know that Comey, Ashcroft, and Mueller and others were prepared to resign over the program?
Well, I'm not, first of all, I'm not aware that that's true, that the same is true, but in terms of, I'm not sure that we got into discussions about any resignations. The discussion centered on the fact that Mr. Comey was unwilling to authorize the continuation of this very important intelligence activity, and that we were there to seek help from the Congress for legislation.
Understood. But you didn't, did they know that there was dissent within the administration on this, within the Justice Department?
I was pretty clear, quite frankly, in making sure that they understood that the Deputy Attorney General did not believe that the President had the authority to authorize these activities. I tried to paint, I didn't want to be accused of in any way not presenting in the most forceful way that I could the disagreement that existed. And so yes, I think that they understood that there was serious dissent.
Okay. But you testified to us that you didn't believe there was serious dissent on the program that the President authorized, and now you're saying they knew of the dissent and you didn't?
The dissent related to other intelligence activities. The dissent was not about the terrorist surveillance program that the President confirmed.
So if we
the American
asked the
people.
8 who were there, they would say that's the case? Either, would they say that? Would they say it was not about the TSP, that it was about other issues? I thought you just testified that you brought them to talk about that issue because you needed legislation. Now you're saying...
I can't tell you what they would say if you asked them the question, sir. I'm just telling what I recall.
Wait, sir, we're going back to we're back in the same conundrum as always, where it just doesn't seem that you're leveling here with the American people or the committee.
I don't see how it can be more clear.
Sir, you said that they knew that there was dissent, but when you testified before us, you said there has not been any serious disagreement, and it's about the same program. It's about the same exact program. You said the President authorized only one before. And the discussion, you see, it defies credulity to believe that the discussion with Attorney General Ashcroft or with this group of 8, which we can check on, and I hope we will, Mr. Chairman, that'll be yours and Senator Specter's prerogative, was about nothing other than the TSP. And if it was about the TSP, you're dissembling to this committee. Now, was it about the TSP or not, the discussion on the 8th?
The disagreement on the 10th was about other intelligence activities.
Not about the TSP. Yes or no?
The disagreement and the reason we had to go to the hospital had to do with other intelligence activities.
Not the TSP. Come on, if you say it's about other, that implies not. Now, say it or not.
It was not it was about other intelligence activities.
Was it about the TSP? Yes or no, please. That's vital to whether you're telling the truth to this committee.
It was about other intelligence activities.
Okay.